Lucas inherits his late father's carpentry house and the daunting responsibility of caring for his sick mother and younger sister. Isolated from the community and facing financial hardships, Lucas makes a courageous decision, embarking on a challenging journey. In the heart of a quaint village, nestled among rolling hills and whispering trees, stood a modest house that bore the marks of time and hardship. This was the home of Lucas, a 15-year-old boy who had inherited not just the faded walls and creaking floors of the old carpenter's house, but also the mantle of responsibility far too heavy for his young shoulders. Lucas's father, once the village's most skilled carpenter, had left an indelible mark on the community with his exquisite craftsmanship. Each carved door and polished banister in the village told a story of a man who believed in the beauty of creation, a man who had poured his heart into every wood shaving and nail. But it was not just his craft that he left behind. His sudden passing had bequeathed a legacy of unspoken dreams and wisdom that Lucas now clung to. The house, once filled with the melodious sounds of sawing and hammering, now echoed with a silence that was almost palpable. Lucas, with his brown hair tousled and his eyes often lost in thought, would sometimes find himself tracing the intricate carvings on the furniture his father had made, each curve and knot telling a tale of a happier time. In the small, dimly lit kitchen, Anna, Lucas's mother, sat quietly at the old wooden table that her husband had made for their wedding. Her once radiant face, framed by locks of hair that had prematurely grayed, was now etched with lines of worry and exhaustion. Her illness, a shadow that had slowly crept into their lives, now loomed large, threatening to engulf the last vestiges of her once vibrant spirit. Lucas often found his gaze resting on his mother, his heart aching with a mix of love, fear, and an overwhelming sense of helplessness. Anna's condition required medication they could scarcely afford, and the dwindling savings were barely enough to keep them afloat. The burden of being the man of the house weighed heavily on Lucas's young shoulders, a role he had been thrust into without warning or choice. Beside Anna, Lily, Lucas's 8-year-old sister, played with a set of wooden dolls her father had crafted. Her laughter, a rare and precious sound, brought a brief respite to the heavy air. Innocent and unaware of the full extent of their plight, she remained a beacon of hope and joy in their lives, a reminder of the innocence that once filled the house. The village, once a place of warm greetings and shared stories, had slowly retracted its embrace from the carpenter's family. Sympathies had waned as time passed, and the realities of life had drawn people back into their own struggles and joys. Lucas felt this isolation acutely. Each day, a reminder that they were alone in their battle against the cruel tides of fate. As the days grew shorter and the nights colder, Lucas would often find himself standing at the threshold of their home, looking out into the starry sky. He remembered his father's words, whispered to him during long evenings spent in the workshop. "Our hands, not fate, shape our destiny." These words, once a source of wonder and inspiration, now echoed in his mind like a challenge, a call to action that he could no longer ignore. It was on one of these starlit nights, with the cold biting at his skin and the weight of his family's future pressing down on him, that Lucas made a decision born from love, desperation, and the raw instinct to protect and provide for his family. It was a decision that would set in motion a series of events that would forever change the course of their lives. In the quiet of the night, with nothing but the moon as his witness, Lucas stepped out of the safety of his home and into the unknown, driven by a resolve that was both terrifying and exhilarating. He was no longer just a boy. He was a son, a brother, a protector, and he was ready to do whatever it took to save his family. This night marked the beginning of a journey that would test Lucas's courage, challenge his beliefs, and ultimately reveal the strength of the human spirit in the face of adversity. The carpenter's legacy was not just in the wood and nails that held their home together, but in the unbreakable bond of a family determined to survive against all odds. In the soft glow of dawn, Anna stirred in her modest bed, the creaking of its wooden frame echoing gently in the stillness of the room. her sleep had been fitful, marred by dreams of better days and the gnawing pain that clung to her like a shadow. As she opened her eyes, the reality of her illness came crashing back, a relentless tide that ebbed and flowed with the passing of each day. In the kitchen, the aroma of brewing tea mingled with the lingering scent of wood polish, a poignant reminder of her husband's absence. Anna sat there, cradling a chipped cup, her thoughts adrift in a sea of memories. She remembered the laughter that once filled these walls, the sound of her husband's tools, and the warmth of his embrace. Those memories, now distant echoes, were a bittersweet symphony that played endlessly in her heart. Her gaze fell upon Lucas and Lily, her two greatest treasures. Lucas, with his father's determination and a maturity that belied his age, had become the pillar of their crumbling world. Lily, a ray of sunshine in their gloomy days, remained blissfully unaware of the severity of their situation. Anna's heart swelled with love and a deep, unspoken sorrow for the childhood they were being robbed of. As the morning sun streamed through the window, casting a golden hue over the humble kitchen, Anna's thoughts turned to the daunting challenges they faced. The medication she needed was a luxury they could barely afford, and the fear of leaving her children alone in this harsh world was a constant shadow that loomed over her. She watched as Lucas moved around the kitchen, his every action marked with a sense of purpose and urgency. He had taken on the role of caretaker, provider, and protector, roles far too burdensome for his young shoulders. Anna's heart ached with gratitude and guilt, knowing the weight he carried was born of his deep love for her and Lily. In these moments, Anna felt a profound connection to the past, to the legacy of strength and resilience her own mother had passed down to her. She remembered her mother's words, spoken in times of hardship. In the heart of despair lies the seed of hope. These words, a guiding light through her own struggles, were now the beacon she wanted to pass on to Lucas and Lily. The day unfolded with the usual rhythm of household chores and small interactions, each moment a testament to the family's enduring spirit. Lucas, ever attentive, watched over his mother with a mix of concern and determination. Lily, in her innocent play, brought fleeting moments of joy and normalcy. As evening approached, the house was enveloped in a serene quietude. Anna, sitting by the window, watched the village life unfold outside. The sight of neighbors going about their lives, so close yet so distant, filled her with a sense of longing and isolation. It was in these quiet moments that the reality of their situation weighed heaviest on her heart. The responsibility of ensuring her children's future was a burden that consumed her every thought. The fear of what would become of them in her absence was a constant companion, whispering doubts and worries into her ear. Yet, in the depth of her fears, Anna found a wellspring of strength. She knew she had to fight, to hold on for the sake of her children. That night, as Lucas and Lily slept, Anna sat alone, her thoughts a tangled web of hope and fear. She whispered a prayer into the darkness, a plea for strength and guidance. Her journey was not just her own. It was the legacy she would leave for her children, a testament to a mother's unyielding love and sacrifice. In the silence of the night, with the moon casting a gentle glow over her weary face, Anna made a silent vow. She would do everything in her power to ensure her children had a fighting chance, to instill in them the courage and hope they needed to face the world. Her love for them was an unbreakable bond, a force that transcended pain and fear, and it was this love that would carry them through the darkest of times. As the first rays of the morning sun broke through the horizon, Lucas lay awake, his mind a whirlwind of thoughts and worries. The responsibility of being the family's sole provider since his father's death weighed heavily on his young heart. He knew his mother's medication was running low, and the cupboards were nearly bare. The burden of their survival rested on his shoulders, a mantle he bore with a mix of pride and trepidation. Lucas rose from his bed, the wooden floorboards cold under his feet, and gazed at his sleeping sister. Lily, with her peaceful expression and gentle breathing, was a stark contrast to the turmoil that churned within him. In her innocence, she remained oblivious to the gravity of their situation, a blessing Lucas wished he could share. The house, once a haven of love and security, now felt like a fortress under siege. Each crack in the wall, each loose tile, seemed to mock his inability to provide for his family as his father had. Lucas's heart ached with longing for his father's guidance, for the reassurance of his strong, capable hands that had once made everything seem possible. As he prepared a meager breakfast, Lucas's thoughts turned to the church's charity fund. He had overheard whispers about the money collected for the needy, a fund that could provide the means to ease his mother's suffering and feed Lily. The very thought of taking something that wasn't rightfully theirs was abhorrent to Lucas, a betrayal of everything his father had taught him. Yet the desperate cries of necessity echoed louder than the whispers of conscience. Throughout the day, Lucas wrestled with his conscience. Each moment of hesitation, a battle between his moral upbringing and the desperate need to save his family. The sight of his mother, growing weaker with each passing day, and Lily's oblivious smiles, only served to heighten the turmoil within him. As evening fell, Lucas made his decision. With a heavy heart and trembling hands, he slipped out of the house under the cover of darkness. The village, usually a tapestry of light and life, lay shrouded in shadows, mirroring the darkness that now enveloped his soul. The church stood at the heart of the village, its steeple piercing the night sky. As Lucas approached, the weight of his impending action bore down on him, a physical force that threatened to crush his resolve. He remembered his father's words, "Honor and integrity are the pillars of a man's character." These words, once a source of pride, now felt like chains binding him to an unbearable choice. Inside the church, the silence was deafening. Lucas's heart pounded in his chest, each beat a drum of guilt and fear. The charity box, a simple wooden chest, sat innocently in the corner. As he reached out, his hand trembling, Lucas felt as though he was crossing an invisible line, a point of no return. The coins clinked softly as he took them, the sound echoing through the church like a thunderous accusation. With each step back home, Lucas felt the heavy cloak of guilt wrapping tighter around him. He had crossed the threshold of morality, driven by love, desperation, and an unwavering commitment to his family's survival. Upon his return, the house seemed to close in around him, the walls whispering secrets of his deed. Lucas lay awake, staring into it. Lucas lay awake in the stillness of the night, his heart a cacophony of guilt and fear. The stolen coins, now hidden beneath a loose floorboard, burned in his conscience like a brand. He had crossed a line, a boundary his father had always taught him never to breach. In the dim moonlight filtering through the window, the shadows in his room seemed to dance with silent accusation. Outside, the world was asleep, oblivious to the turmoil that churned within the walls of the humble carpenter's house. The village, usually a beacon of community and support, felt distant and judgmental in Lucas's troubled mind. He wondered if the warmth he once felt in its streets was just an illusion, now shattered by the weight of his desperate act. In the room next door, Anna coughed, a harsh sound that cut through the silence and pierced Lucas's heart. It was for her he had taken this dreadful step to buy the medicine that would ease her pain, to buy a few more precious moments of life. Yet the relief he had hoped to feel was overshadowed by a crushing sense of wrongdoing. Lucas thought of the church and Father Joseph, the kindly pastor who had always been a pillar of strength and guidance in the community. He imagined the disappointment in Father Joseph's eyes, the trust broken by a single desperate act. The thought was a knife to his soul, yet he couldn't regret his decision, not when it was a matter of life and death. As dawn approached, bringing with it the light of a new day, Lucas's thoughts turned to Lily. Her innocence was a stark contrast to the burden he now carried. He wanted to protect her from the harsh realities of their life, to preserve the carefree joy that still sparkled in her eyes. But how long could he keep the truth from her? How long before the shadows of their struggle would reach her too? The morning brought no relief, only a heightened sense of urgency. With the stolen money, Lucas purchased the much-needed medicine for his mother and food for the weak. Each transaction was a silent scream in his conscience, a reminder of the line he had crossed for the sake of survival. Returning home, Lucas found Anna in a rare moment of peaceful rest. He watched her, the lines of pain slightly eased, and felt a tumultuous mix of relief and sorrow. In her sleep, she seemed to retreat to a place far from the pain and struggles of their world. A sanctuary Lucas wished he could join. The days that followed were a blur of internal conflict for Lucas. He went about his chores, caring for his mother and sister, all the while feeling like a stranger in his own life. The coins he had taken kept him awake at night, a relentless reminder of the choice he had made. Then, one fateful afternoon, Father Joseph visited their home. The moment Lucas saw him, his heart sank, a heavy stone dropping into the pit of his stomach. The fear of being discovered, of seeing the look of betrayal on the pastor's face, was overwhelming. But Father Joseph's visit was not one of accusation or judgment. He had come, as he often did, to offer support and kindness to the struggling family. He spoke words of comfort to Anna, brought laughter to Lily's lips, and offered Lucas a listening ear and a gentle smile. Lucas, torn between relief and guilt, found himself on the verge of confessing his deed, but the words stuck in his throat, choked by fear and shame. He was caught in a web of his own making, each strand a thread of love, desperation, and moral ambiguity. As Father Joseph left, he placed a reassuring hand on Lucas's shoulder, a gesture that felt like both a lifeline and a condemnation. Lucas watched him go, the conflict within him raging like a storm. He was at a crossroads, his next steps shrouded in uncertainty and fear. In the quiet aftermath of Father Joseph's visit, Lucas realized that the burden he carried was not just the weight of his responsibility, but also the heavy cloak of secrecy and guilt. He had stepped into the shadows to protect his family, but now those shadows threatened to consume him. The path ahead was unclear, fraught with moral dilemmas and the haunting whispers of desperation. The days following Father Joseph's visit were shrouded in a thick fog of unease for Lucas. The pastor's kind gestures and warm words, meant to comfort, only served to deepen the chasm of guilt within Lucas's heart. Every glance towards the church, every whisper of prayer, felt like a silent scream of his betrayal. Yet amidst this storm of guilt, a sliver of hope gleamed through. His mother's health showed signs of improvement, and Lily's laughter became a more frequent sound in their home. Lucas watched as Anna, bolstered by the medication, found the strength to sit up in bed, her eyes reflecting a flicker of her old spirit. It was a bittersweet victory for Lucas, a reminder that every coin spent on her medicine was a testament to his love, yet tainted by the shadow of his actions. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Lucas sat beside Anna, holding her frail hand in his. In the quiet of the room, Anna spoke in a voice barely above a whisper, her words laced with wisdom and an unspoken understanding of the burdens her son carried. "Lucas," she began, her eyes meeting his, "I see the weight you carry in your eyes. You have grown too fast, my child, taken on burdens no one your age should bear." Her grip tightened, a surge of maternal strength flowing through her. But remember, even in the darkest times, there's always a light, however faint, guiding us back to hope. Lucas's eyes filled with tears, unshed and held back by the dam of stoicism he had built. Anna's words were a soothing balm to his tormented soul, yet they also served as a painful reminder of the path he had chosen. The following days saw the family settle into a routine, a semblance of normalcy amidst their trials. Lucas continued to care for his mother and sister, his every action tinged with the love and dedication that defined him. He found solace in Lily's innocent games and the small improvements in Anna's health. But the peace was short-lived. News of the theft had begun to ripple through the village, whispers of suspicion and doubt that soon reached Lucas's ears. The fear of discovery, once a distant threat, now loomed large and menacing. Lucas felt the eyes of the villagers on him, their gazes piercing through his facade of calm. One fateful morning, as Lucas walked through the village, he overheard hushed conversations, the words theft, church, and shame stabbing at his heart. His steps faltered, a sense of isolation wrapping around him like a cold blanket. The village, once a tapestry of community and belonging, now felt like a maze of judgment and alienation. As Lucas returned home, the weight of the world seemed to press down on him. He entered to find Anna looking weaker, the brief resurgence of her strength fading like the last rays of a setting sun. The sight of her, so fragile and pale, reignited the burning question in his heart: had his actions been justified? That night, Lucas lay awake, the moon casting a pale light through his window. The faces of the villagers, the sound of their whispers, and the sight of his ailing mother swirled in his mind, a maelstrom of guilt, fear, and love. He realized that the shadows he had stepped into were not just around him, but within him, a darkness that threatened to engulf his very soul. In the depths of that night, Lucas made a decision. He could no longer live in the shadows of his deed. He had to face the consequences of his actions, for his mother, for Lily, and for himself. With the first light of dawn, he would step into the light, come what may. As the night gave way to the early hues of dawn, Lucas, with a heart heavy yet resolute, prepared to face the day. It was a day that would mark the beginning of a new chapter, a step out of the shadows and into the uncertain light of truth and redemption. With the first light of dawn casting a soft glow over the village, Lucas stood at the threshold of his home, his decision weighing heavily on his heart. The morning air was crisp, a gentle reminder of the changing seasons and the relentless passage of time. Today, he would confess his deed, a truth that burned in his chest like a beacon in the night. As he walked towards the church, the village slowly came to life. Shopkeepers opened their shutters. Children ran through the streets, and the smell of fresh bread wafted from the bakery. The village, with its daily rhythm and familiar faces, suddenly seemed like a foreign land to Lucas, a place where he no longer belonged. Reaching the church, Lucas found Father Joseph tending to the small garden by the entrance. The pastor's hands, usually so steady and sure, were gentle as they nurtured the plants, a testament to his kind and caring nature. Lucas's heart pounded in his chest, each beat a drum of apprehension and fear. "Father Joseph," Lucas began, his voice barely above a whisper. The pastor looked up, his eyes meeting Lucas's. There was a warmth in his gaze, a depth of understanding that seemed to reach into Lucas's very soul. "Lucas, my child, what brings you here so early?" Father Joseph asked, his voice a soothing balm to Lucas's frayed nerves. With a trembling breath, Lucas poured out his heart, confessing the theft, the desperation that had driven him, and the crushing guilt that followed. The words tumbled out in a torrent, each one lifting a weight off his shoulders, yet bringing a new wave of fear. Father Joseph listened in silence, his expression one of deep compassion and sorrow. When Lucas finished, the pastor reached out, placing a hand on the boy's shoulder. "Lucas, what you did was wrong, but it was born from a place of love and desperation. We are all tested in ways we cannot foresee. It's how we face those tests that defines us." Lucas's eyes filled with tears, the kindness in Father Joseph's words a stark contrast to the judgment he had expected. The pastor continued, "Let us find a way to make this right, together." In the days that followed, Father Joseph worked closely with Lucas and his family. He helped them organize a small bake sale using Anna's secret bread recipe. The village, initially hesitant, slowly began to show support, drawn by the delicious aroma of the bread and the story of a family fighting against all odds. The bake sale was more than just a fundraiser. It was a symbol of hope and community. People from all walks of life came, not only to buy bread, but also to offer support, kind words, and understanding. Lucas, who had braced himself for rejection, found instead a community willing to forgive and embrace. Anna, bolstered by the outpouring of love and support, found a new strength. She guided Lucas and Lily in baking, her hands, though weak, skillfully shaping the dough. It was a heartwarming sight, the family working together, surrounded by laughter and chatter. The success of the bake sale sparked an idea in Father Joseph's mind. He proposed that Lucas and his family start a small bakery business, using the church's old storage room as a starting point. The idea was met with enthusiasm and a glimmer of hope. Lucas, inspired by the possibility of a new beginning, threw himself into the project with renewed vigor. The bakery, aptly named Bread of Hope, slowly took shape. It became more than just a source of income. It was a symbol of the family's resilience and the village's capacity for forgiveness and support. Lucas, once shrouded in guilt and despair, now found purpose and pride in his work. As Bread of Hope opened its doors for the first time, the smell of fresh bread mingled with the sounds of laughter and conversation filled the air. It was a moment of triumph, a testament to the power of community and the enduring spirit of a family that refused to give up. In the warmth of the bakery, surrounded by the love and support of the village, Lucas realized that hope, like bread, needs just the right ingredients and a little warmth to rise. And in that realization, he found not only the path to redemption, but also the seeds of a brighter future. The opening of Bread of Hope marked a new chapter in the lives of Lucas and his family. The small bakery, nestled in the heart of the village, quickly became more than just a place to buy bread. It evolved into a haven of warmth and community. The smell of fresh bread, rich and inviting, became a symbol of resilience and hope, wafting through the streets and drawing people in. Inside the bakery, Anna, despite her frail health, took on the role of head baker. Her hands, once trembling and weak, now moved with purpose and skill as she kneaded dough and shaped loaves. Her secret recipe, a blend of traditional methods and a touch of love, gave the bread a unique flavor that had people coming back for more. In the golden crust and soft texture of each loaf, there was a piece of Anna's heart, a legacy she was passing down to her children. Lucas, who had once felt isolated and burdened by the weight of responsibility, now found joy in the bustling activity of the bakery. He managed the accounts, served customers, and, under his mother's watchful eye, learned the art of baking. His relationship with the villagers, once strained by his act of desperation, began to heal. They saw in him not just the boy who had erred, but a young man who had risen above his circumstances, driven by love for his family. Lily, the youngest, became the bakery's unofficial mascot. Her laughter and bright chatter added a layer of cheer to the place. She flitted around the bakery, helping where she could, or simply sitting with a book in a cozy corner. Her presence brought a sense of normalcy and innocence that reminded everyone of the simpler joys of life. The bakery soon turned into a gathering place for the villagers. It was where old friends met, where news and gossip were exchanged over cups of tea and slices of warm bread. The story of Bread of Hope, of a family that had overcome adversity through unity and the support of their community, inspired many. Father Joseph often visited, his presence a constant source of support and encouragement. He saw in the bakery not just the redemption of a young boy, but the coming together of a community. He often said, "This bakery is not just built with bricks and bread, but with forgiveness, compassion, and the unyielding spirit of this village." But as the bakery flourished, Anna's health continued to wane. Each day was a battle, and though she fought bravely, the illness slowly took its toll. In the quiet moments, away from the hustle and bustle of the bakery, she would often sit with Lucas, sharing stories of his father, imparting wisdom, and expressing her hopes and dreams for her children. Lucas, amidst the success of the bakery, could not ignore the looming shadow of his mother's frailty. The bakery had brought them together as a family and as a community, but the fear of losing Anna was a constant ache in his heart. One particularly busy morning, as the bakery was filled with the chatter of customers, Anna sat down to rest, a look of contentment on her face. Lucas noticed how the strain of the morning had left her more tired than usual. He sat beside her, taking her hand in his, a silent promise that no matter what the future held, they would face it together. As the sun set, casting long shadows through the windows of the bakery, the family gathered around Anna. In the soft glow of the oven light, they shared stories, laughter, and tears. It was a moment of profound connection, a reminder that every loaf of bread they baked was not just nourishing the body, but also the soul. Bread of Hope was more than a business. It was a testament to a mother's love, a son's courage, and a community's capacity for kindness. It was a place where the simple act of breaking bread brought people together, healing old wounds and forging new friendships. In every crumb of bread, there was a story of struggle, resilience, and the unbreakable bonds of family and community. As Bread of Hope continued to thrive, becoming a cornerstone of the village, it not only brought joy and sustenance, but also unwittingly sowed the seeds of dissent. Mr. Harrow, a prominent and influential member of the community, harbored a growing skepticism towards the bakery and the family behind it. Mr. Harrow, a tall man with a stern visage that rarely softened into a smile, had observed the bakery's rising popularity with a critical eye. He remembered Lucas's transgression, the theft from the church, and harbored doubts about the family's intentions. In his mind, the success of Bread of Hope was built on questionable foundations, and he felt a sense of duty to protect the village from what he perceived as potential deceit. His suspicions resonated with a few other villagers who began to whisper among themselves, casting wary glances at the bakery. These murmurs of doubt spread like ripples, creating an undercurrent of tension that contrasted sharply with the warm and welcoming atmosphere of Bread of Hope. Lucas, acutely aware of Mr. Harrow's sentiments and the growing whispers, felt a resurgence of the guilt and shame he thought he had left behind. The bakery, which had become a symbol of hope and redemption, now seemed to teeter on the edge of controversy. The fear of losing everything they had worked so hard to build cast a shadow over the family's newfound happiness. Anna, sensing the change in the village's demeanor, felt a pang of protectiveness towards her children. She had hoped that the bakery would be a new beginning, free from the judgment and hardships of the past. The thought of her family being subjected to suspicion and disdain was a bitter pill to swallow. One day, Mr. Harrow, under the guise of casual conversation, visited the bakery. His piercing gaze and probing questions left an air of discomfort lingering long after he had left. Lucas responded with politeness, but the encounter left him unsettled. The bakery, once a haven of joy and community, now felt like a stage where every action was scrutinized. The tension reached a peak one evening when Mr. Harrow openly challenged Lucas in front of other villagers. "This bakery," he declared, his voice heavy with accusation, "is built on dishonesty. How can we trust a family that once stole from our very church?" The accusation hung in the air like a thick fog, suffocating and inescapable. Lucas, his face a mask of pain and defiance, stood tall. "Yes, I made a mistake," he admitted, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "But we have worked hard to make amends. This bakery is not just my family's livelihood. It's a symbol of our love, repentance, and the support of this community." The confrontation left a rift in the village, with some supporting Mr. Harrow's stance, while others rallied behind Lucas and his family. The bakery became a battleground of opinions, a reflection of the village's struggle between skepticism and forgiveness. Amidst this turmoil, Anna's health began to decline rapidly. The stress of the situation exacerbated her condition, and she became a shadow of her former self. Lucas and Lily watched helplessly as their mother, the heart of their family and the bakery, faded before their eyes. In these trying times, the bakery, once filled with laughter and chatter, became quieter. The bread still came out warm and fragrant from the oven, but the joy that once accompanied its making was dampened by the heavy air of uncertainty and fear. Lucas, torn between caring for his ailing mother and defending their family's honor, felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. He realized that the battle he faced was not just about proving their integrity to the village, but also about preserving the legacy of love and resilience his family had fought so hard to build. As the sun set on another day, the future of Bread of Hope hung in the balance, a symbol of a family's undying spirit facing the greatest test of all, the judgment of those they called neighbors and friends. The discord sown by Mr. Harrow's accusations rippled through the village, casting a shadow over Bread of Hope. The bakery, once bustling with the lively chatter of the community, now faced days of uneasy quiet. The warm, inviting aroma of freshly baked bread still wafted through the air, but it was no longer enough to bridge the growing divide. Lucas, steadfast in his commitment to the bakery and his family, felt each day stretch into an endless battle against doubt and suspicion. The skepticism from parts of the community, once just a whisper, had grown into a chorus of distrust that threatened to undo all they had built. In the midst of this turmoil, Anna's health deteriorated further, her once bright eyes now dimmed by pain and fatigue. Her moments of lucidity grew fewer, and in her weakening state, she became increasingly aware of the tension gripping the village and her family. One evening, as Lucas sat by her bedside, Anna reached out, her touch frail but filled with love. "Lucas," she whispered, "the bakery was our dream, a symbol of hope. Don't let the doubts of others extinguish the fire we've built." Her words, though spoken in a hushed tone, were a clarion call to Lucas, a reminder of the love and perseverance that had given birth to Bread of Hope. He realized that the bakery was more than a source of livelihood. It was the embodiment of their family's spirit, a testament to their journey. Lucas's resolve, however, was tested further when Lily, usually a beacon of joy and innocence, began to feel the strain. She asked questions with her big, curious eyes, sensing the change in the air, but not fully understanding the reasons behind it. Her laughter, once the melody of the bakery, had faded, replaced by a quietness that spoke volumes. The situation reached a tipping point when a local newspaper, catching wind of the controversy, published a story about the bakery and the allegations against Lucas and his family. The article, meant to be a neutral account, only served to fuel the fire of gossip and judgment. The day the article was published, Lucas stood behind the counter, the newspaper spread out before him, a tangible symbol of their plight. The door to the bakery, which used to swing open frequently, remained still, the silence a stark reminder of the community's division. In this trying time, Father Joseph became their pillar of strength. He visited the bakery, offering words of encouragement and support. He reminded Lucas and the family that the true essence of community lay in understanding and forgiveness. His visits were a balm to their weary spirits, a reminder that they were not alone in their struggle. Despite the challenges, Lucas continued to bake bread with the same dedication and love as before. Each loaf was a defiance against the doubts cast upon them, a symbol of his unwavering commitment to his family's legacy. Anna, though bedridden, would often ask about the bakery, her face lighting up with pride at the mention of their resilience. As the days passed, a quiet support began to grow among some villagers. They remembered the warmth and unity that Bread of Hope had once brought to their lives. Small acts of kindness began to emerge, a supportive nod, a few words of encouragement, an occasional visit to the bakery. Lucas, bolstered by these gestures, found a renewed sense of purpose. He knew the road ahead was fraught with challenges, but he also knew that the foundation they had built with Bread of Hope was strong, rooted in love, sacrifice, and the true spirit of community. The cracks in the oven, both literal and metaphorical, were deepening. But just as bread rises from the heat, so too did Lucas's hope that the warmth of their oven and the sincerity of their efforts would eventually heal the rifts in the village and restore the bakery to its rightful place, at the heart of the community. In the dim light of the early morning, Lucas sat at the kitchen table, his mind a whirlwind of thoughts. The bakery, once a source of pride and hope, now felt like the eye of a storm, with the family's struggles and the village's judgment swirling chaotically around it. The weight of the situation bore down on him, a burden that seemed to grow heavier with each passing day. Outside, the first light of dawn began to pierce the darkness, casting a soft glow on the streets of the village. Lucas knew that with the new day, he had to face not only the challenges of keeping the bakery running, but also the growing rift within the community. As he prepared for the day, Lucas's thoughts turned to his mother. Anna's condition had worsened, her moments of clarity becoming rarer. Yet in her eyes, there remained a flicker of the strong, loving woman who had raised him, a constant reminder of the sacrifices she had made for their family. The bakery opened its doors to a quiet morning. The usual bustle of customers was absent, replaced by a solemn stillness that hung heavily in the air. Lucas, with a heavy heart, went about his tasks, each movement a reflection of the turmoil within him. Mid-morning, as Lucas was kneading dough, the bell above the door jingled softly, announcing a visitor. He looked up to see Father Joseph entering, his face a mask of concern and empathy. "Lucas," Father Joseph began, his voice gentle. "The division in the village is deepening. We cannot let this continue. It's time to bring the community together to heal these wounds." Lucas nodded, the weight of responsibility settling firmly on his shoulders. He knew what he had to do. It was time to confront the situation head on, to bring the truth to light, and to seek forgiveness from those he had wronged. That evening, Father Joseph organized a gathering at the church, inviting the entire village. The pews filled slowly, a mix of curious and concerned faces among the congregation. Lucas stood at the front, his family by his side, their presence a united front against the storm that had engulfed their lives. As silence fell over the crowd, Lucas took a deep breath and began to speak. His voice was steady, but his hands trembled slightly as he recounted the story of the bakery, the struggles his family had faced, and the desperate decision that had started it all. He spoke of the night he stole from the church, his voice cracking with emotion. "I did it for my family," he confessed, tears glistening in his eyes. "But I know that doesn't make it right. I'm here to ask for your forgiveness, not just for the theft, but for the divide it has caused in our community." The congregation listened in silence, their faces a mosaic of emotions. Lucas's words, raw and sincere, echoed through the church, reaching into the hearts of the villagers. After a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, Mr. Harrow stood up. His face, usually stern and unyielding, was soft for the first time. "Lucas," he said, his voice uncharacteristically gentle, "your courage to stand here and confess your mistakes is commendable. We've all faced tough times, made decisions we're not proud of. It's time we put this behind us and come together as a community." A murmur of agreement rippled through the congregation, a wave of understanding and forgiveness that slowly began to mend the rift that had formed. As the meeting ended, people approached Lucas, offering words of support and encouragement. The bakery, once a symbol of division, began to reclaim its place as a beacon of hope and unity in the village. That night, as Lucas lay in bed, a sense of peace enveloped him. He had bared his soul to the village and, in return, had found forgiveness and a renewed sense of belonging. The journey ahead would not be easy, but with the support of his community, the warmth of their oven, and the love of his family, Lucas knew that they would weather any storm that came their way. Bread of Hope was more than a bakery. It was a testament to the power of honesty, forgiveness, and the unbreakable spirit of a community united. The days following the meeting at the church brought a noticeable shift in the village. The air of suspicion and unease that had once hung over Bread of Hope began to dissipate, replaced by a renewed sense of community and understanding. The bakery's door swung open more frequently, welcoming back familiar faces and new ones alike, each customer a symbol of the village's healing and forgiveness. Lucas, feeling the weight of guilt lift from his shoulders, found a new sense of purpose and determination. He worked tirelessly, his hands shaping dough as his heart shaped newfound dreams for the bakery and his family. The support of the villagers, once lost, now returned in smiles and kind words, weaving back together the fabric of community that had been torn. But as the village came together, Anna's health continued its silent decline. Each day, her once vibrant spirit seemed to fade a little more, leaving behind a frail body struggling to hold on. Lucas, Lily, and the villagers who had come to know and love her watched helplessly as the inevitable drew closer. In these difficult times, the bakery became more than just a place of business. It became a haven where the family and villagers could find comfort in each other's presence. The aroma of baking bread and the warmth of the oven provided a gentle, constant reminder of life's continuity and the enduring power of love and community. One evening, as the bakery was closing, Anna called Lucas to her side. Her voice, now a mere whisper, was filled with a mother's love and a wisdom born from a life of hardship and joy. "Lucas," she said, her eyes gazing into his, "you have grown into the man your father and I always knew you would be. Your strength, your love for this family, has been the light guiding us through our darkest times." Tears welled in Lucas's eyes as he listened, his heart swelling with a mix of pride and sorrow. Anna continued, "Remember, my dear son, that no matter what happens, the love we share as a family, the bonds we've built with our community, they are the true essence of life. Carry these forward in your heart, in your actions, and in every loaf of bread you bake." The following days saw the bakery become a quiet refuge for the family. Villagers often stopped by, not just for bread, but to offer comforting words and fond memories of Anna. Her impact on their lives, once unspoken, now became stories of kindness, strength, and inspiration. As autumn leaves began to turn, painting the village in shades of orange and red, Anna's journey reached its end. Surrounded by her family and the love of those she had touched, she passed away peacefully, leaving behind a legacy of resilience, love, and unity. The loss of Anna left a void in the bakery and the hearts of those who knew her. Lucas and Lily, engulfed in their grief, found solace in the embrace of the community. The villagers, in turn, found ways to show their support, be it through helping at the bakery, sharing stories of Anna, or simply being there for the family in their time of need. In the wake of Anna's passing, Bread of Hope became more than just a name. It became a symbol of the family's journey through loss and hardship, and of a community's capacity for compassion and unity. The bakery continued to operate, each loaf of bread, a tribute to Anna's memory and a testament to the unbreakable bonds of family and community. Lucas, though bearing the pain of loss, carried his mother's teachings and love forward. He became not only a baker, but also a pillar of the community, much like his mother and father before him. In the heartache of goodbye, he found the strength to continue their legacy, to keep the oven warm and the bread rising, a symbol of hope and continuity in the ever-changing tapestry of life. Bread of Hope stood as a reminder that even in the face of sorrow and loss, the warmth of love and the strength of community endure, rising like dough in the warmth of an oven, ever present and ever nourishing. In the weeks that followed Anna's passing, the village of subtle hues and quiet lanes seemed to mirror the solemn mood of Bread of Hope. The bakery, though still a hub of activity, was shrouded in a gentle, reflective quiet. Lucas, grappling with his loss, poured his heart into every batch of bread, kneading his memories and emotions into the dough, transforming his grief into golden crusts and soft centers. One crisp morning, as autumn leaves danced whimsically in the wind, a surprising visitor stepped into the bakery. Mr. Harrow, the man who had once been the voice of skepticism, entered with a demeanor softer than the villagers had ever seen. His eyes, usually so stern, held a gentleness that was unfamiliar to those who knew him. Lucas, surprised by the visit, greeted him cautiously. Mr. Harrow, taking a deep breath, spoke with an earnestness that hushed the murmuring customers. "Lucas, I came here to say I'm sorry. Sorry for the doubt I cast, for the pain I may have caused. Your family, your mother, has shown this village the true meaning of strength and unity. The bakery fell into a profound silence, the kind that speaks volumes. Lucas, taken aback by the sincerity in Mr. Harrow's voice, found himself at a loss for words. Mr. Harrow continued, "Your mother was a remarkable woman, and her legacy lives on in you and this bakery. I hope, in some small way, I can help keep that legacy alive." With that, Mr. Harrow placed a large order of bread for an upcoming village event, insisting on paying extra as a gesture of support. This act, so simple yet so profound, became a turning point, not just for Lucas, but for the entire community. It was an olive branch that bridged the gap between past grievances and future camaraderie. The news of Mr. Harrow's gesture spread through the village like a warm breeze. It set off a chain reaction of kindness and support, rekindling the sense of community that had always been the village's heartbeat. Neighbors who had once turned away now returned, their faces reflecting a newfound respect and admiration for Lucas and the legacy his family had built. Lucas, witnessing this transformation, felt a gradual healing begin within him. The bakery, once a symbol of his family's struggle and resilience, now evolved into a beacon of forgiveness and community spirit. Each loaf of bread that left bread of hope carried with it a story of redemption and unity. In this renewed atmosphere, Lily, who had been a shadow of her former self, began to regain her brightness. Her laughter, which had once filled the bakery, returned, ringing through the rooms and infusing them with hope. She took on more responsibilities, learning the art of baking under Lucas's guidance. Her every move, a tribute to their mother. As winter approached, bringing with it the promise of renewal, Bread of Hope prepared for the village's annual winter festival. The event, usually a time of joy and celebration, had taken on a deeper meaning this year. It was not just a celebration of the season, but a celebration of community, forgiveness, and the enduring bonds of family. The festival day arrived, crisp and clear, with the village square adorned with lights and decorations. Bread of Hope was at the heart of it, the aroma of their special festive bread mingling with the sounds of laughter and music. Lucas and Lily, surrounded by their fellow villagers, felt a sense of belonging and joy that had seemed so distant in the past months. As the night drew to a close, the village gathered around a large bonfire in the square. The fire's warm glow reflected in the eyes of the villagers, mirroring the warmth that had returned to their hearts. Lucas, standing with Lily by his side, looked around at the faces illuminated by the firelight. Faces of friends, of family in all but blood. In that moment, under the starlit sky, Lucas realized that the gesture of forgiveness from Mr. Harrow had been more than just an act of reconciliation. It had been a catalyst for the village to come together, to heal, and to look forward to the future as one. The legacy of Bread of Hope was not just in the loaves they baked, but in the love, resilience, and unity it had nurtured in the heart of the village. The winter festival marked a turning point for Lucas and Lily, a rekindling of the spirit of unity and love that had always been at the core of their family. Yet, as the season passed and the first buds of spring appeared, a poignant realization dawned on them. It was their first spring without Anna, and her absence was felt in every corner of the bakery, in every new bloom that she would never see. Lucas, now more than ever, felt the weight of carrying on his mother's legacy. He found himself talking to her in quiet moments, seeking guidance in the wisdom she had imparted. Bread of Hope had become a living memory of her, a place where her strength and love continued to touch the lives of those who entered. As the anniversary of Anna's passing approached, Lucas decided to honor her memory in the most fitting way he knew. He planned a small ceremony at the bakery, inviting the villagers to join in commemorating the life of a woman who had become a symbol of hope and resilience to them all. The day of the remembrance arrived with a gentle spring breeze, carrying the scents of blooming flowers and fresh earth. The bakery was adorned with Anna's favorite flowers, and her picture stood on the mantel, her smile as warm and comforting as the oven's heat. One by one, the villagers arrived, each person carrying a story, a memory, a token of their affection for Anna. The bakery filled with voices sharing tales of her kindness, her strength, and the subtle ways she had touched their lives. Lucas and Lily stood together, united in their grief, but also in their gratitude. Lucas spoke to the gathered crowd, his voice steady but filled with emotion. Today, we remember not just the loss of our beloved mother, but also the incredible life she led. She was the heart of this bakery, of our family, and her spirit lives on in every loaf of bread we bake, in every life she touched. As he spoke, the villagers listened, their faces a mosaic of shared sorrow and respect. Many nodded in agreement, their eyes glistening with unshed tears. Lucas's words resonated with them, a reminder of the transient nature of life and the enduring impact of love. After the speeches, the villagers gathered around a table laden with Anna's favorite breads, each a masterpiece of Lucas's baking skills. The act of breaking bread together, a simple yet profound gesture, united them in a moment of communal solace and remembrance. The ceremony concluded with a release of doves, a symbol of peace and Anna's free spirit. As the birds took flight, soaring into the limitless sky, a collective sigh of release and renewal rippled through the crowd. It was a moment of letting go, of allowing Anna's spirit to soar while holding her memory close in their hearts. In the days that followed, Lucas and Lily felt a renewed sense of purpose. The pain of loss would always be a part of them, but they found comfort in the knowledge that their mother's legacy would continue through their hands and hearts. Bread of Hope was more than a business. It was a monument to Anna's life, a place where her love, wisdom, and strength would always be remembered. As spring gave way to summer, the bakery continued to be a place of gathering, of sharing, of community. Lucas and Lily, standing at the helm, knew that they were not alone in their journey. They had their mother's spirit guiding them, the support of the village behind them, and a future filled with possibilities. In every loaf of bread, in every shared moment at the bakery, Anna's presence was felt, a gentle reminder that love never truly leaves. It only changes form, becoming a part of the stories we share, the bread we break, and the lives we touch. Bread of Hope stood as a testament to that eternal love, a beacon of hope in the ever-changing landscape of life. As the vibrant colors of summer bloomed across the village, Bread of Hope flourished under Lucas and Lily's devoted hands. The bakery, once a symbol of their family's struggle, had transformed into a testament of their resilience and the unyielding support of their community. With each day, the memory of Anna remained a guiding light, her legacy interwoven into the very essence of the place. Lucas, who had once been a boy burdened with the weight of the world, had grown into a man of strength and compassion. In the quiet hours of the morning, while kneading dough or arranging loaves in the display, he often felt his mother's presence, as if she were there, approvingly watching over him. He instilled in every task the values she had taught: love, dedication, and a commitment to bringing people together. Lily, blossoming into a bright and capable young woman, brought her own touch to the bakery. Her creativity shone in new recipes and ideas, infusing the bakery with a sense of renewal and joy. She would often be found chatting with the customers, sharing stories, or laughing heartily at a shared joke. Her growth mirrored the journey of the bakery, from a place of sorrow to one of hope and new beginnings. The bakery had become more than just a local business. It was a community hub, a place where people came not only for bread, but for companionship and a sense of belonging. The walls, once silent witnesses to the family's hardship, now echoed with the laughter and chatter of the villagers. The aroma of baking bread, a constant and comforting presence, was a reminder of the simple joys of life. In honoring Anna's memory, Lucas and Lily decided to start a tradition. Each year, on the anniversary of the bakery's opening, they organized a community feast. It was an event that brought the entire village together, a celebration of unity, love, and the power of community. The feast was a reflection of Anna's belief that sharing a meal was the best way to strengthen bonds and build bridges. On the day of the feast, tables were set up along the village streets, laden with a variety of breads, pastries, and dishes prepared by the villagers. The air was filled with music, laughter, and the clinking of glasses. It was a day of celebration, of remembering the past and looking forward to the future. As the sun set, bathing the village in a warm, golden light, Lucas stood beside Lily, looking out at the faces of their friends, neighbors, and family. He saw in them the reflection of his mother's enduring spirit. He realized that her legacy was not just in the bakery, but in the way she had touched each life, woven into the fabric of the village itself. Lily, taking his hand, squeezed it gently, a silent message of shared love and remembrance. They both knew that while the pain of loss would always linger, the love and lessons their mother had left them were timeless gifts, guiding them through every challenge and joy. As the feast drew to a close, with the stars twinkling overhead, the villagers gathered for a final toast. Glasses raised high, they celebrated Bread of Hope, not just as a place, but as a symbol of all they had overcome together. They toasted to Anna, to Lucas and Lily, and to the unbreakable bond of their community. The legacy of Anna's love continued to live on, in the hearts of her children, in the walls of the bakery, and in every loaf of bread that emerged from the oven. It was a legacy that transcended time and circumstance, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always a light of hope, a chance for renewal, and the unending strength of love. As the years passed, the seasons changing from spring blossoms to winter frosts, Bread of Hope continued to be the heart of the village. Under Lucas and Lily's stewardship, the bakery not only survived but thrived, becoming a symbol of enduring resilience and community spirit. The lessons and love imparted by Anna lived on, shaping not just their lives, but also the soul of the village. Lucas, now a respected figure in the community, found a deep sense of fulfillment in continuing his family's legacy. His hands, once unsure and hesitant, now moved with the confidence and skill of a seasoned baker. Each loaf of bread was a testament to his journey, from a boy burdened by circumstance to a man who had risen above it, guided by the strength of his mother's love. Lily, vibrant and full of life, had brought her own unique touch to the bakery. Her innovative ideas and cheerful demeanor had attracted a younger crowd, infusing the bakery with a fresh energy. Yet, she never lost sight of the core values that the bakery stood for: love, community, and the healing power of breaking bread together. The village, too, had grown and changed. New families had arrived. Children who once played in the streets had grown into adults, and elders had passed on, leaving behind stories and memories. Through all these changes, Bread of Hope remained a constant, a place where people could come together, share their joys and sorrows, and feel a sense of belonging. As the sun began to set on another day, casting a warm golden light over the village, Lucas stood outside the bakery, taking a moment to appreciate the beauty around him. The streets were quiet now, the hustle and bustle of the day settling into a peaceful evening. He thought about his parents, about the journey his family had been through, and the role the bakery had played in their lives and the lives of those in the village. It was moments like these that Lucas felt closest to his mother. He could almost hear her voice, gentle and reassuring, reminding him to always find strength and love, and to never lose hope, no matter what life brought. He smiled, a sense of peace and gratitude filling his heart. Inside the bakery, Lily was tidying up, humming a tune their mother used to sing. The melody, soft and familiar, was a bridge to the past, a reminder of the joy and warmth that had always filled their home. Lucas joined her, helping to stack the chairs and wipe down the tables. As they worked, they talked about their plans for the bakery, for the village, and for the community feast that was fast approaching. The feast had become an annual tradition, eagerly anticipated by the entire village, a celebration of unity and shared history. Later that evening, as they locked up the bakery and headed home, Lucas and Lily took a detour through the village. They walked in comfortable silence, their steps in sync, a testament to the bond they shared as siblings and partners in keeping their family legacy alive. They passed the church, its steeple silhouetted against the fading light, a reminder of where their journey had begun. They thought of Father Joseph, who had been a guiding light in their darkest times, and of the villagers who'd become like an extended family. As they reached their home, the last rays of the sun dipped below the horizon, leaving a sky painted in hues of pink and purple. Lucas and Lily looked up, taking in the beauty of the twilight. In that moment, they felt the presence of their parents, a sense of love and pride enveloping them. The legacy of Bread of Hope was more than just the success of a bakery. It was the story of a family who had overcome adversity through love, a community that had learned the power of forgiveness and unity, and the enduring spirit of hope that had guided them all. As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Lucas and Lily knew that whatever the future held, they would face it together with the strength and love passed down by their parents and the support of the village that had become their extended family. Bread of Hope was not just a place. It was a testament to the enduring power of love, community, and the simple yet profound act of breaking bread together.